Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name's Haley Armstrong. I'm a partner at AJW, and I'm here with you today to discuss the importance of technology neutrality with hydrogen policy. As I was putting these slides together, I realized that this is a really broad topic to cover in 15 minutes, so we'll do our best. And if you have any questions or want to have any follow-up conversations after this, please see me or any of my colleagues here in the front row or back right corner to discuss further. So let's get started. So just to briefly introduce AJW, AJW is an advisory firm with offices here in Washington, D.C., Sacramento, California, New York, and a presence in London as well, where I am based. We focus on business strategy and government engagement for innovative technologies in complex markets like hydrogen. We also work on a number of other sectors such as carbon capture, industrial decarbonization, sustainable aviation fuel, other low carbon fuels, EV charging, kind of any energy transition topic, you name it, we're probably got our fingers in it somewhere. In general, we help our clients to identify incentives, so grants, tax credits, et cetera. We help to devise market strategies, and we also help them to understand policies and how they impact their business. So in general, clean hydrogen is really an emerging market with unique challenges and opportunities. We've heard those opportunities and challenges discussed over the past day and a half. But really, in order to unlock the ambition that we do have for clean hydrogen, governments must play an active role. They can help to create an investable and equitable clean hydrogen sector. Through this, we need technology neutral policies. These can help to de-risk and drive investments, and they can help to take the lowest cost products forward at the fastest pace. So together with a focus on climate, we can help to create a competitive global clean hydrogen marketplace. So just to set the stage a little bit here to show you just how necessary these technology neutral policies are, I'm going to run through a couple of slides. None of these are probably new numbers or figures to anyone here, but they just kind of help to display how important these policies are. So over the next 2 decades, hydrogen consumption is anticipated to grow by more than 6 times, and just under 50% of that consumption is expected to be transported or delivered or traded across long distances or internationally. In terms of production, various production methods are going to be needed, as we all know, the vast hydrogen rainbow that we do have. But today, most of that production is gray. And by 2050, over the next 2 decades, we expect almost all production to be clean. And then in terms of end-use markets, the end-use markets are going to expand, or they're projected to expand, to new areas that are mostly nascent today. And so what this all tells me is that we have a lot of policy work that we need to do. So I really like these graphics just because they're really crazy and fun to look at, but they tell an interesting story. So these are from the Hydrogen Council, of which some of you are probably members or have seen these charts before. But they really show us that there's going to be a major scale up in that long distance hydrogen trade. North America, which is blue, Europe in green, and China in gray, which I don't think any of this is indicative of the types of hydrogen that anyone's looking to produce. These are going to lead to they are going to be the leaders of both the supply and demand of clean hydrogen in the future, according to today's projections for 2050. This is also going to require significant deployment and development of the new infrastructure to move the clean hydrogen around the globe. So underlying all of this, in order to actually see this come to fruition, will be the need for billions of dollars of new investment to finance these projects. All of this is really against the backdrop of increasing costs, uncertainty around new policies that are emerging, and elections that have either already happened or are underway or upcoming in some of the major global economies. We've seen India and the EU happen just recently. We'll have the UK and US next, and Canada coming up soon as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the policies do play out over the course of the next couple of years in particular. And it's important that as we do look at these new governments, new incentives, and new policies, that the policies are technology neutral. So as I just mentioned, billions of dollars of investment are going to be necessary to expand to the capacity that we do expect. Technology neutral policies have the benefit of de-risking investments, and they can also help to support cost improvements, which are necessary in order to expand deployment at the cost that we have, or that will require. They also will help to achieve the emission reduction targets and climate goals that we need to focus on. In particular, we also will really need to focus on demand-driving policies. This is particularly important in countries without a price on carbon like the US, and investors really do require those demand signals for creating an investable project. In addition, given the global nature of the hydrogen economy that we just saw on the previous slide, we need those policies to be harmonized across borders, and we need to create a competitive environment that enables all the different types of hydrogen to be traded with a focus on climate. Lastly, we need to build out the infrastructure as we discussed, but it's going to take more than one type of method to transport hydrogen. We're going to need more than one or two methods to transport this hydrogen, but we need to focus on getting there and getting that hydrogen moving. And I would be remiss to not mention permitting, which of course is necessary in order to deploy all of this. So this slide, nothing new for anybody here probably, but it really just goes to show that we have the vast rainbow of different types of hydrogen production pathways, the various delivery and transportation methods for hydrogen. These all can come together to create a variety of combinations of pathways to deploy clean hydrogen. And technology neutral policies have the benefit of seeing all of these together as options and an opportunity to reach our clean hydrogen and climate goals more rapidly. So why is technology neutrality so critical for clean hydrogen in particular? Well, as you saw, we have lots of options on the table, and technology neutral policies that focus on the least carbon intensive hydrogen can help to reach our objectives at the pace that we need. So the issue at hand, as I've said, is meeting our climate goals. If we do start picking winners and losers, it could lead to limited optionality in places that need options. For example, certain geographies may have limitations in terms of the types of hydrogen that they can produce. They may be limited in the ways that they can receive that hydrogen in terms of transportation. So if we establish policies that only focus on certain types of production pathways or transportation pathways, that could eliminate or disadvantage certain communities or geographies or economies that really do require other options. So taking this all of the above approach will really help to achieve the widespread deployment that we need quickly. There's a lot of text on this slide, so I'll just highlight a couple of things. But in general, we really want to focus on equitable, financeable, and climate-focused policies. We've listed here some of the potential policy interventions that the government can take responsibility for as they begin to look at and continue to help to promote this market. In general, stable, transparent policies are key to creating an investable environment for new projects. These policies also need to keep in mind the backdrop of increasing costs for feedstocks, increasing costs for power, labor, et cetera. And so there's a lot of challenges that we're up against. Policies are needed for the pipelines, the transportation, end-use markets, including demand-driving signals. We need parallel policies for carbon capture and carbon sequestration. And all of these policies need to be durable across government changes and across borders so that hydrogen can be deployed at scale and across the globe in the time that we need. It's also important to think about what's at risk if the policies are not neutral. We risk having projects paused or canceled. We could see investments or supply chains flow elsewhere, other countries, other types of technologies, and we could also see higher costs for our industry. If we also pick winners and losers, there could be a lack of competition, a lack of innovation, and that also leads to higher risks. If technologies do fail, we could risk not meeting our climate goals. So in summary, policies themselves should be very well defined and applied appropriately and equitably. If they're not, we could have inefficiencies and be delayed in meeting our climate goals. As I've mentioned, policies should be harmonized globally so that hydrogen can be traded on a global scale. Policies should be based on performance, economics, and climate. They should be stable to create an investable environment. And notably, we also need to make sure that we're supporting innovative technologies that are novel. So having support for RD&D, earlier stage grant funding so that continuing innovation can take place. And again, all methods of hydrogen are likely to be needed, so not picking winners and losers is very important. So with that, we have about 3.5 to 4 minutes for any questions. Back row? I think a mic's coming to you.
Thanks for your presentation. Just curious if you have any thoughts on like what policies are immediately needed, and especially on demand side.
That's a tough question.
Yeah, very curious myself.
On the demand side, without a price on carbon in the U.S., we need policies that are going to instill, reduced carbon intensity. So if you look at low carbon products, having some sort of standard or funding from the federal government going to states to procure these lower carbon products, that could be something. Yeah, I mean, there's not a good answer, I don't think. But would love to talk to you after. I think we're supposed to talk anyway. But
yeah, thank you. Great presentation.
Yeah. Any other questions? Brian?
Hi, Haley. I wonder if you could say something about the policies in the European Union where they're really committing towards green hydrogen, and it seems to me not following a or a technology neutral approach.
Yeah, so hopefully everybody heard Brian's question, but in the EU he was noting that it seems like they're really favoring more of the green hydrogen approach. And I think that that is particularly risky in the EU given the cost of power. So I think that it's something to watch, and it does seem to be something that is getting a little bit of negative feedback from kind of the policy wonks out here. But yeah, I think it is a bit risky. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you. Oh, got one more question? Oh.
Yeah, you suggested that you like a neutral approach, but that's in the fact that once you start saying that the hydrogen needs to produce has to have this much electric intensity, and based on the other own the hydrogen already self-select, even if the government doesn't come and say don't go for this kind of color hydrogen, if they come and say, for example, it needs to have at least a certain standard of how much electricity is used to make hydrogen, wouldn't be artificially already put it. So my question is like, how can you not do it? The moment they put a criteria saying that you need to, you can't take, because electricity is also limited, we don't have unlimited renewable energy. So the moment we start saying that we don't want all the energy going towards making hydrogen, so once you start putting caveats on that, it's going to filter down to the hydrogen source, right?
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a good point. I think that the policies should be obviously designed with that carbon intensity in mind and be climate focused, but they also have to be flexible enough to understand some of these other inputs that come into developing things like blue hydrogen. So I think there has to be room within the policies and a recognition that it's going to be a transition. So it may not be immediate that we can meet exactly what they're looking for. So I think just keeping that flexibility in mind while ultimately achieving that carbon intensity reduction is key. All right, well, thank you, everyone. Please feel free to come find me after, or some of my colleagues that are here in the audience. Appreciate it. Thank you.